Larry, welcome back. And like Blake said, I love your style. It's simple to follow, and I'm guessing that you're pretty long the market here going into the election.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm long. I've got a few ideas to share with you.
Okay. Cool. Great. Share the screen.
All right. We will fire up the screen. So let's go here. And okay. So can you see my screen? It's the S&P 500 chart.
Yeah, I see the spy right
Okay.
here.
So if you want, I'll let you get started and I'll just follow your lead.
Okay. So what are you thinking here? 6,000 in the spider
Yeah.
before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think by the end of the year, 6,000, maybe 6,100. I do agree with Blake that the next 2 weeks, I think, can be really, really volatile. There's a lot. Obviously, the election is going to create, I think, a lot of volatility in the near term because
Yeah.
what's that, 11 days from now? But also, the S&P 500 earnings, you've got 34% of the S&P 500 reports earnings next week. So Apple, Microsoft, some really
Wow.
big names. So
Yeah.
you've got in a back-to-back 2 week period, you've got most of the S&P 500, the biggest week for earnings, and you've got the election after that. So I think for the next 2 weeks, we really need to have our seatbelts on.
Okay. Are you in the camp that the market's going to celebrate what kind of victory? Trump victory? That part of we're already seeing Trump trades being put on, like the short side of treasuries. Even heard very convicted bond bulls for a while saying that if there's a red wave, they're out of their long bonds. I think it was Rosenberg. Yeah, it was Rosenberg.
It's tough to say. I think that the market, whatever the outcome is, whenever we get a final decision, and we don't know that we're going to get a final decision, on election day or the day after election day. If you
or on
remember the
or
year,
inauguration day.
yeah, you remember the year 2000
Yeah.
when they had to count, it went on for, I don't know, a week or two. I can't remember, but I think what my expectation is that the market probably sees a lot of volatility into the election, and that could be all markets, the bonds, the dollar,
Yeah,
stocks. But I
everything.
think once there's a resolution, however it gets resolved, whoever wins, I think once there's a resolution, then you'll see a move back up, only because markets don't really like uncertainty and they do like resolution. So I think going in, we're going to get a lot of volatility, but I think once there's a final answer and we can finally say, okay, somebody won, whoever that is, then I think the markets can say, okay, here's what the table looks like, and here's how we're going to position. So I do think that once you get a final answer on who the winner is, then I think the markets start to move back higher.
Okay. And so what if we don't have that answer for a few months?
So
Could
I
there
mean,
be a
if
lot
you
of
don't have it,
damage? Isn't that a lot of uncertainty that piles upon itself and magnifies itself the longer it drags out?
yeah, I just think it keeps volatility higher. I don't
Well, what do
necessarily
you mean by volatility? People say that volatility.
big
Do you mean
big big ranges outside of the norm.
okay? All right, on both
Higher
sides.
on both sides. It could be up or
Okay.
down. It could be sector rotation. Based on who wins
Yeah.
the election, there are
Yeah.
certain sectors that are expected to perform better. I know that the expectation in the market is if from what I've read, if Trump wins, then the market's expecting bond yields to go higher. But the question
Right.
is, bond yields are already up 60 basis points off the lows.
Right.
So, just like with this Fed rate cut, sometimes the markets they price in what they think. and they don't always do what, like the Fed cut rates. A lot of people thought bond yields were going to go lower, and they've gone up by 60 basis points. So I just think
Right.
you get some chop. I can't see the
Have you ever
future.
seen that before, Larry? Because I've seen the beginning of easing cycles, a few of them in my time, and I've never, I could have seen it being sell the rumor by the fact and had a little bit of a bounce, a 10-year back to four or so. But up here at 425 was more than I thought we'd
It's
see.
Dale, it's more than I thought too. I went in and I expected that bond yields would start to move lower because if you just look at the TLT
Yeah.
chart, when they were raising rates, bonds were going down. So now that
Right.
they're cutting rates, the opposite would be for bonds to go up. But what I think happened, so I was wrong. I expected, bond yields to move lower. But what I think happened is the market looked at this 50 basis point rate cut and said that that's going to be very stimulative for the economy. It could create some inflation. But then China came in right afterwards. China came in with their bazooka, and they announced all this stimulus, and their stimulus could be inflationary. So you get higher bond yields. And then the government, I mean, the government is spending money hand over fist right now. So, there's a lot of things that actually lead to higher bond yields. So, I'm not
Right.
an expert on bond yields, but I think there's a couple things that could keep a floor in bond yields unless the jobs market falls off a cliff. And we don't see that right now.
Okay. What sectors are you favoring going into the
So
election?
just basically, so stocks, I'm long stocks and into the end of the year. So S&P 500, triple Q, big breakouts, and there could be some, like we said, there's probably going to be some volatility. I always expect a pullback around this election, but I think the pullbacks will be buyable. My favorite sectors, number one is technology. So technology hasn't been the leader this year. Real estate's been
Yeah.
very strong, utilities have been very strong, but
Yeah.
the chart's still in a long-term uptrend. If you look at the weekly chart, it's just a really nice longer-term uptrend. But I still think that where you're going to get strong earnings growth is from tech. We got a really good earnings report from Taiwan Semiconductor a few
Yeah.
weeks ago. Looks like it was last week. Really
Yeah.
good earnings report from them. They said,
Nvidia's at new highs.
yeah, this is a great chart. The Taiwan semi chart
Yeah.
is a great chart. Nvidia, everybody's favorite stock to either own or talk about. It's a great chart. I mean, if you look at the chart, it consolidated for about 4 or 5 months, and now it's just started to drift higher. It's got a lot of rising moving averages. The weekly chart set up nicely. It's breaking out. So tech for me is still a core sector. I really like uh, Palantir, which is big in AI
Yeah, I've
for
heard of it.
defense. They've got a lot of government contracts. But outside of tech, I think the industrial sector is a place to be. A little bit of a pullback right now. That's fine. But I think that the industrials benefit from a couple things. They should benefit from rate cuts because rate cuts should help to stimulate the economy. So
Right.
industrials should benefit from that. There's a lot of strong stocks like these aerospace and defense stocks. Raytheon's been acting well, General Dynamics, but I think aerospace and defense in the world that we live in right now, I think that's a very good sector theme to be involved with. The banks look good, and I like the big banks. So JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, stocks like
Yeah.
that. And also one of your
The
markets, I
financials.
like gold. I've got
Okay.
a good size long position. I've got some gold miners, and I think that the precious metals, gold, silver, and the miners, I think that those work higher if we get lower interest rates. I think they also work higher from all this massive government spending that's going on really all over the world. You know, wars cause governments to print a lot of money. But there's a lot of things that I like. What I don't like bonds. And that's probably it for right now.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like gold around that red moving average. What is it? Is that a 200 day?
Yeah, the red one is the 50.
50? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, and
But
well, you're showing commodities there.
yeah, so,
Uh,
I heard, well, like everybody the other day, I heard Paul Tudor Jones, on TV talking about
yeah,
commodities and he's looking
yeah,
for inflation. When I look, I like gold, I like silver, I like the miners. These are very nice breakout uptrends, and they could pull back a little bit. Anything could pull back over the next week or two. But I think that these are the strongest charts that I've seen as far as commodities. The rest of the group, like energy, it's just there's no good look for crude oil. So I'm not a crude oil expert, but it's just not a good chart for me whatsoever. I think crude oil is a great trading market. So if you can buy it at the lower end of the range and sell it when it rips higher. But I look more for trends and, established longer term trends that I can get into and build some big positions. So really it's stocks, the S&P, triple Q, gold. Those are some of the places
how
that I
about
like
you,
the best.
UP, Larry? You have a view on the dollar?
Yeah, I really don't. I know it's had a pretty strong move recently, but I don't follow it enough, uh, to really have a strong view. It's had a really big bounce here
Yeah,
right after the Fed cut rates. It's had a really
yeah,
strong bounce, but I just don't follow it enough to have a bigger picture view.
okay. All right. And so I think we've covered a lot. How about how are utilities acting
You
in this environment?
Utilities are strong. Utilities are surprisingly strong. And if we look at the sector, it's up 28% year to date. And I
Yeah,
think where the real winners are in utilities is the hot sector, which is nuclear.
yeah,
So all of these AI data centers that are being built, they
right.
use a tremendous amount of power. So these nuclear stocks, Vistra Corporation, it's up 228% year to date, just a monster move. But these companies like Constellation, they own 3 Mile Island. So Microsoft signed a long-term deal with Constellation to get nuclear power from them. And that starts, I think, in 2028. So they've got to fire up 3 Mile Island. But there's a lot of these stocks, these independent power producers like NRG Energy, really strong uptrend. And then you've got GE Vernova, which is in that nuclear food chain as well. So
Wow.
utilities are strong, but where the biggest moves are these nuclear stocks, but even some of the,
Yeah.
the sleepy names like stocks like
CCJ.
Southern
Oh,
Company.
yeah,
Which one
nice.
did you say?
Cameco is like the best of breed of
Oh
the
yeah, yeah.
miners.
Big in uranium because you can't uranium is the building block for nuclear. So yeah, yeah, strong uptrend. That whole group, a lot of volatility. These
Yeah,
nuclear stocks and these uranium stocks, they can, I've been in them before and I've seen them go, down 5 or 10% in a short
yeah,
period of time. So strong group. You just have to be prepared for a lot of volatility there.
yeah. You have to have your suit on, your
Yeah.
radioactive suit. Uh, how about, I'm looking at long-term, like monthly natural gas charts, and to me, it reminds me of a lot of things that just went quiet and sideways for a long time that are building huge bases and it's trying to come out of here. there any natural gas stocks that look interesting to you? That natural gas stock right there, chart looks pretty good, doesn't it?
Yeah, natural gas, $2 is a really big support level for natural
Yeah.
gas. And where is it now? 297. So
Yeah,
yeah,
so trying to break out over $3,
oh yeah.
so
Yeah,
yeah,
natural gas could absolutely have a big breakout move to the upside. So
yeah,
over $2, I definitely think you're much closer to the lows than you are to the highs. So
yeah.
I follow the bigger stocks. So Williams Company, WMB, they're
Okay.
big in natural gas, just a really strong longer term
It's
uptrend.
broke out a long
That's
time ago.
what's that?
Yeah. Broke out a long time ago.
Yeah, yeah, this broke out well ahead of natural gas. So this is really the biggest one that I follow. I know that there's some smaller stocks like Range Resources, but it's really not a good chart right now. And then
Right.
Southwestern Energy, I thought I knew the symbol for Southwestern Energy, but it looks like I don't. But
Okay.
WMB, because I tend to follow the large caps more, that's really my sweet spot, anything over $10 billion. Dollars. And, WMB would be the stock that I like there.
You ever trade royalty trusts when it comes to a commodity? They don't have the production risks. Most of them don't have debt, and they're just, it's more of a pure play with a dividend yield on a
Is
commodity play.
Prudhoe Bay one of those?
I'm not sure, but I'm at because a friend of mine who's very good is, they're very cheap from where they were. They lost 75% of their value. That looks like it could be. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
royalty trust.
Yeah, I've
And
got to tell you, I don't know really enough
look
about
at
them to
that.
say.
Look at that. 114.
Yeah,
So you have
yeah,
to know, you really have to do due diligence on each one of them, but
you really
as you
do.
can see, they're very depressed.
Yeah, you've really got to dig in and find
Little
out what the
double
underlying
bottom there.
assets are and all that. So I don't know it too well.
I have to go and buy some Prudhoe Bay royalty trust right now, Larry. Oh, I still have time till the market opens.
Yeah, it's listen,
Anyway,
it's
yeah,
definitely you can't say it's not cheap, right?
yeah. Well, it's like an option, for a
Yeah,
buck 14. You
yeah.
know. Anyway, uh, anything you want to wrap it with going into the election? You want to tell people which way they should go when they're in the booth?
Yeah, I mean, what the way that I'm positioned right now, and that's really the best thing, that I can say is what I'm doing is I'm long stocks, I'm long
Yeah,
gold.
yeah,
I like the sectors that we talked about, but I've got about 10% cash, and that's pretty high for me right now. And the only thing is, because no matter how good, these charts look, it's like Blake
yeah.
said before, you just really need to expect over the next 10 or 14 days. You just need to expect some big volatility. Now, listen, I could be wrong. Maybe the markets just hum right along, but between earnings and between the election, what I would say is, what I'm doing is I'm sitting on some cash, 10%, not a lot, but it's enough. And I haven't been really aggressive as far as any new stock buys recently. And I'm just going to
You're
wait. And
you're
I think,
managing your book until
yeah,
after.
yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to do right now, there's some periods of time when you want to go in and you want to stand on the gas pedal and get as aggressive as you can. And then I think there's some periods of time where realistically the next 2 weeks, I'm just trying to get through the next 2 weeks, hope that I don't get stopped out of anything, or if I do, I generally don't take big stops. So I'm not worried about that. But I think you can be patient for the next 2 weeks, look at your charts, have a pretty strong watch list, but I'm not in a hurry to take any big risk over the next 2 weeks.
Okay. There you just heard a pro speaking about knowing it's a one mistake business and not wanting to make it. And maybe that's because he has earlier in his career. So, we all learn from the pain.
Yeah.
And right, Larry. So I mean, some you embrace that failure and don't let it happen again. So
Dale,
don't.
I've been trading actively for 26 years and I've lost money in a variety of assorted ways. So after you do that, you say, okay, I put my hand on the hot burner 5 times, never worked. So,
Yeah.
there's a time to be a hero and there's a time to not be a hero. And I think the next 2 weeks is not the time to try to be a hero. And then once things clear up, we get past earnings and we see what this election looks like, then I think there's really good opportunities over the last 6 weeks of the year.
All right. So Larry Tentarelli, prudence over valor, because sometimes a valiant knight gets knocked off his horse. So prudence over the next couple weeks. Overall, a very constructive view on the markets, and take it easy and have a your list of things you'd like to buy if they sold off, and no one's forcing you to trade, right, Larry? I mean, no one's got a gun to your head.
Listen, there's 52 weeks of the year that we can make money. So if
Yeah.
I've got to sit tight for one or two, that's fine with me.
Okay. So also it's good to you know kind of not be attached to positions once in a while, to have a clear view, because once you're in something, I don't care how disciplined you say you are, you have an attachment to it. Okay. So lighten up, reduce margin. Larry, you guarantee it, the markets will be here after the election, right?
Oh, absolutely. And
Oh,
the best, I think one of the best things that you said, Dale, is anytime I have a position that's not working for me, or if I feel uncomfortable, my stock market mentor told me, he said, if you think you've got too much money at risk, you do. So
yeah,
there's
yeah,
nothing
right,
wrong with, taking a little bit off the table. Or if you want to buy something or if you want to make a trade, maybe you take a smaller position
yeah.
instead of going all the way in. Maybe you take a half of a position and then you wait till you see how things work out. What I want to do is I want to make the volatility work for me, right? And
Yeah.
not have it work against me. So if you've got a little bit of cash and if you've got a little bit of patience, and if we get some volatility and you get some pullbacks, then you can take some ideas a little bit cheaper.
I have more cash and less patience at my age.
Yeah.
Anyway, buddy, really great talking to you, catching up. Uh, we'll be looking at see what kind of world we'll be seeing when you and I talk in January, Larry. And you know, this is where you could find Larry.
Yeah.
He
Twitter.
he
So
put it
the
up.
best place to find me is on Twitter, or I guess we call it X and these
Yeah,
days, but
yeah.
at Blue Chip Daily. I'm there. I'm posting every day. Then my website is bluechipdaily.com. And you can see a lot of information about what I do.
I saw you had a 30-day trial up there. Is that still going?
I do. Yep, 30-day free trial, no obligation. I send out my trade alerts anytime I make a buy or a sell. And then I share, commentary with my members every day, a lot like what you and I are talking about, but it's a lot more
Yeah,
stock specific in real time.
yeah. Okay, so thanks for keeping all the good stuff away from me, man. I guess I'll have to subscribe.
No, I brought you a lot of the good stuff.
All right, no, I'm
I
just
brought you
kidding
a
you, bro.
great appetizer. I just didn't bring you the full course yet.
All right, I'm still hungry though. So if you're still hungry after seeing this interview with Larry, you know where to find him, and he'll even let you check him out for a month.
There you
That's
go.
pretty cool. That's, right in time for the holidays. So thank you, Larry, my trading warrior brother. Good hunting, buddy.
Dale, you too, my friend. It's that time of year. We probably won't circle back up until after the holidays. So I hope
Yeah,
that you have a great holiday season, my friend.
okay. And may, just the dollars just overtake you and your subscribers going into year end. Big
Thank you.
money. All right, buddy. Larry Tentarelli, everyone, and follow him, check him out. He's made a nice offer. You know, when someone makes an offer, you didn't ask for it. I did. Go check it out. All right, Barry. Thank you, Larry. Everyone's thanking you. All right. See you guys tomorrow. Oh, no, today's Friday. Oh, boy, what a week. Okay. Don't just count your pips, count your blessings. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you. See you on Monday. Adios.
Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow with ForexAnalytix. Thanks for stopping by our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like these videos, share them, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the content that we provide here for free. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next video.